How you doing? So, temperature monitoring in rotational molding. How can measuring the temperature of your rotational molding process help you in your plant? Well, there are a number of different ways, and depending where you need that help will determine how you use the K-PAQ. So let's say, for example, you are making 15,000 parts a year and you need to make more, or you need to reduce the cycle time. One of the ways you can do that is to measure the internal mold air temperature of your part. That will give you a signature of the mold. That tells you various temperatures that you can follow to ensure that you've got a part that you can sell. Now you can begin to tweak the cycle accordingly. So how would you do that? Well, if you want to reduce your cycle time, it's not rocket science. You either have to not cook it as long or cook it at higher temperatures. You have to cool it faster or not cool it as long. So there are the four main factors that you can vary. So the heating rate and stop heating now, and the cooling rate and stop cooling now. So that would translate to, the heating rate would translate to more simply, what is your oven temperature set at? The higher your oven temperature, the faster your heating rate. There are other ways to do that, but none quite as simple as turning a dial in the oven and turning the heat up a little bit. You could, other ways would be different types of mold, for example. Steel over aluminium, the fins that you sometimes see on molds, cast aluminium molds, to encourage heat into certain areas, and so on. So if you turn your oven temperature up, you're going to speed up your heating. The question is, the issue is, the importance is of measuring temperature is that unless you measure that temperature, you don't know how fast you're going to speed it up by. You don't know when is now the new time to bring it out of the oven. If you keep it in for the same length of time in the oven, well, you haven't obviously reduced your cycle times, and you've probably overcooked the part. So monitoring the temperature of that air during that new cycle, you can say, well, look, I took it out of the oven at an internal air temperature of 165, let's say, 170. I've turned my oven temperature up. We're going to take it out at the same temperature, 165, 170. It will knock time off your oven, but you'll take it out at the same temperature. Now, that may need to vary a little bit. It may not be exactly the same temperature. So that's one of the ways you can use temperature monitoring to reduce your cycle time in the oven. Now, in the cooling, usually in cooling, we have one setting, fans on or fans off. We may have misting, where we can try to cool that mold faster, and we may turn the mist on or turn the mist off. So there's a number of different ways you can affect your cooling, but the simplest, without overcooling it too fast and causing dimensional tolerancing issues, i.e. warpage or too much shrinkage, the simplest way to do it is to add more fans to the cooling area. Get more air moving over the top of that mold. Once you start using mist, you definitely, absolutely, you will need to be measuring that temperature and ensuring that you don't overshoot and cool too fast. And then demolding time, or demolding temperature, I beg your pardon. On the first time you've done you've made your part and it's perfect and you like it and you want to reduce that cycle time, you just look at what temperature did we demold at originally and make sure that you demold at that same temperature with a faster cooling rate. There may need to be some adjustments beyond that that you need to make to ensure your part comes out the same quality. But it's not inconceivable to consider reducing cycle times by 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes, just simply by measuring that temperature and adjusting accordingly. So if you're making 10,000 parts a year, 15,000 parts a year, and suddenly you shave off a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of your cycle time, that's going to have an enormous effect, either in your ability to make more parts or in your ability to turn off the machine because you're done, and save on gas. So a few return on investments that we have seen coming back have been 1 month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, that sort of time. Your K-PAQ is paid off if you use it to adjust your cycles. So that's one way that we can use K-PAQ to help you save money and make a bit more profit. Thank you.